How to play Dinner Party. Setup. Take the guest cards and separate them by backs. For each of them, do the following. Shuffle all cards with that back, then take a number of random cards from those without looking. 5 cards if you are 2 players, 6 cards with 3 players, 7 cards with 4 players, 8 cards with 5 players, 9 with 6 players. So 3 cards plus the number of players. Put these cards in a stack in the middle of the play area. After doing this with each back, you end up with 5 equally sized face-down stacks. Reveal the top card of each stack and place it in front of the stack.
Take the Hitler card and place it next to the others.
If you are 2 players, flip it so it shows the side that has a small 2 in the lower left corner. Otherwise, have it show the side that has a small 3+ there. All of these cards together are called the lobby.
Return the other cards to the box. They won't be used this game.
Take the drink tokens and put them next to the lobby. This is called the bar. Each player also gets 3 envelope cards, put the rest next to the lobby as a general supply, an overview card, give the white overview card to the player who will have the first turn, doubles as a starting player token. Each player must also have a bit of space in front of them for their table, the area that their guests will go to.
Goal of the game. Players take turns inviting guests to their table. At the end of the game, the best combination of guests, the best dinner party, wins. Guests. This is how your guests look. There's the demand, the number you need to roll to invite or entertain the guest. 1 or more occupations. You get extra points for having different ones at your table at the end of the game. Arrows that show that a guest is a pleasant or unpleasant seat neighbor, which can affect your rolls. And abilities. There's arrival abilities, which happen once when you invite a guest. Scoring abilities that happen at the end of the game and give you points. And ongoing abilities, which can do all sorts of things during the game. Unless otherwise specified, these only apply if the guest is at your table.
How to play. Players take turns. During each turn, you can do up to 4 things.
In order: charm guests, invite a guest, visit a bar, host.
Charming guests is an optional extra step and is only possible once at least one opponent has a guest at their table. We'll cover that later. For now, invite a guest. Each turn you can invite 1 guest. Choose a face-up guest from the lobby. Each guest stack contains guests with a certain demand, the number in the top right of the card. This is the number you need to roll to successfully invite a guest. After you announce the guest you want to invite, roll the dice. You can re-roll any number of them for a second roll. Then you can re-roll any number of them for a third roll. Now count your total. Drink icons count nothing. If it's at least the guest's demand, you were successful. Place the guest in front of you at your table. If the guest has an arrival ability, do it now. Either way, you fill the lobby by taking the top card of the stack and placing it face up to replace the taken guest. You didn't roll high enough? Then nothing else happens. Placing guests. The first guest you get just goes in front of you. After that, when you invite a guest after you roll, you have to decide which side of the table the guest should sit at. Either the left or right, never between other guests, no gaps. If you have a guest with red or green arrows at your table, where you want to place the new guest really matters. Guests with green arrows are pleasant seat neighbors. Your roll is increased by 2 if you want to place a guest next to a guest with green arrows. It becomes easier to roll high enough. Red arrows do the opposite. They reduce your roll if you want to place a guest next to them. It becomes harder to invite a guest. Hitler is an unwelcome guest who shows up every game. When you invite him, his arrival ability allows you to place him at another player's table, at either side of it. This doesn't really help you, but his red arrows can throw a wrench into the plans of your opponents.
Drinks.
When you invite a guest, after you rolled, you may use 1 drink from your stash to increase your roll by the value that's shown on the drink. If you do that and it makes your roll high enough, place the drink on your guest as you place them at your table. Visit the bar. Whether you were successful or not when trying to invite a guest, you can now visit the bar Without rolling your dice again, check them for drink icons. For each icon, you can take a glass of water. For 2, you can take a glass of wine instead. Keep in mind that you invite guests first and visit the bar later, so you can't use drinks to boost the roll that you got them from. Host. As the last thing of your turn, you're allowed to place drinks on guests that are already at your table. Every guest can only have one drink, but you're allowed to discard a guest's water to the bar if you want to upgrade them to a wine after the fact. Giving drinks to your guests this way helps you to defend against charming. After your host phase, your turn ends. Pass the dice to the next player. It's their turn now.
Charm guests.
After your opponents have assembled a few guests at their table, you may want to start charming them. Charming is an optional phase at the start of your turn, before you invite a guest. If you want to charm a guest, discard one of your envelopes and announce the guest you want to charm. Now the other player has to roll for their own guest to entertain them. If they fail, you get a chance to snatch their guest away from them. Entertaining. When an opponent charms your guest, you have to entertain them. Roll the dice up to 3 times as if you were inviting. Compare the roll to the guest's demand, but also apply any drink the guest may have, the arrows of their direct neighbors, and any applicable abilities to your roll. You can't use or take drinks when rolling to entertain. If your roll is high enough, you succeeded. Hand the dice back to the other player who charmed your guest. They can now either try to charm another guest that they didn't charm yet this turn, or stop charming and just invite a guest from the lobby as usual. If you don't roll high enough, you failed. Hand the dice back to the player who charmed your guest.
They now get to invite your guest instead of one from the lobby.
Inviting a guest of another player works like normal. That means you still roll up to 3 times, you still need to meet or exceed their demand to be successful, you still choose which side of your table they should sit at and apply any corresponding arrows, you can still use one of your drinks on the guests, and if you roll high enough, place the guest at your table. You also still perform arrival abilities if the guest has one. Important: drinks and arrows at the other table do not affect your roll or change how high you have to roll. They already played their part when the other player tried to entertain their guest. There are only 2 special rules to keep in mind. If the guest had a drink and you take them away, the drink goes back into the previous owner's stash. If removing the guest creates a gap, close it by pushing the other guests together.
As normal, after you try to invite, you can visit the bar and host. Important: each turn you can invite exactly one guest, either from the lobby or from another player's table. Not both, but always one.
End of the game. The game end is triggered once 2 guest stacks in the lobby, including the face-up card in front, are completely gone. At that point, no player can charm anymore. Finish the round so that all players had the same number of turns. Then go to scoring. Scoring. At scoring, each player gets points. 1 point per guest at their table, except Hitler, who's worth no points. Points according to the number of different occupations at their table. 1 point for 1 occupation, 2 points for 2 occupations, 3 points for 3 occupations, 5 points for 4 occupations, and 8 points for all 5 of them. Hitler does not provide an occupation. And lastly, points according to the scoring abilities of guests at your table. The player with the most points wins. On a tie, add up the total demand of your guests. The tied player with the highest total demand wins. If there's still a tie, the involved players share victory. And now you know how to play Dinner Party. Hooray!